Prepare to have your health questions answered here on Safe, Effective Natural Solutions with Dr. Todd Binkley, owner of Binkley Healing Center in downtown Ventura. Now, here's Dr. Todd.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Todd Binkley, board-certified doctor of non-force chiropractic and practitioner of functional medicine. Last week at the top of the show, I promised I was going to talk about why no one should take gummy supplements, and I didn't get to it. We ran out of time, so I'm going to start with that. We're also going to get to another exciting case about someone who had a 70-year-old woman who went on a trip to Thailand and came back, had diarrhea for 3 months. I don't know why she waited so long before she came in to me, but we got her fixed up, feeling a lot better. I'll tell you how we did that, a microbiome update, and if we have time, some exciting new information about another great test. Information, some of it's which has been out for a while, but more research has come out identifying how another really good blood test can identify earlier signs of arteriosclerosis, the hardening of the arteries, plaque forming in the arteries. The best way to tell how much plaque you have in your arteries is to do a CT scan, but there's a lot of radiation and expense involved with that. So when we can give you earlier signs of stress and motivate you to do something about reversing and reducing the formation of that plaque in your arteries, anytime we find another test that can do that, it's a great news. And cholesterol is not what I'm talking about. That's the standard one most doctors use. Cholesterol is just not a very good indicator of your risk of heart disease. It is an indicator. It's not completely useless, but cholesterol doesn't cause heart disease. Inflammation causes heart disease, and you can have very high cholesterol and very low plaque in your arteries, and you can have very low cholesterol and still have very high plaque in your arteries, which doesn't make it a very good test, nor does it make it a very good target for therapy. So we're going to come back to that, but first we're going to talk about, I'm excited to do this, I hope you find it interesting, because this is shocking to me that anyone takes gummy supplements. Why would anyone do that? They're obviously candy, aren't they? Well, apparently not. People who don't want to take any vitamins, but okay, if you give me some gummies, they taste good, I'll chew on those. Well, gummies are useless. All gummy supplements are useless. Why is that? Because they're candy. They're mostly gelatin, sugar, artificial flavors, colors, and preservatives. They also have a tiny amount of nutrients in them, but they're almost always the cheapest, least bioavailable form of those nutrients. So what am I talking about? Well, here's a popular one. Nature's Made multivitamin gummies. Over 50 years of experience, they say on their label. Quality you can trust. No artificial flavors, no synthetic dyes, no high fructose corn syrup, no artificial sweeteners, and gluten-free. Well, no multivitamins have gluten in them, so that's kind of silly to point out that they're gluten-free. But here's the fun part. No high fructose corn syrup. Well, that's good. But instead, the first ingredient, the thing that there is more of than anything else in Nature's Made gummy multivitamins is glucose sugar. That's the number one ingredient. Glucose syrup. The second ingredient is sugar. The third ingredient is water. The fourth ingredient is gelatin. So that's like 99, I don't know what the exact percentage is. It's probably something like 90+% of what's in that gummy is glucose syrup, sugar, water, and gelatin, and a tiny amount of vitamins. But even more importantly is what type of vitamins are in there and how much. So here's another takeaway key point to remember. Ignore the percentage daily value, what used to be called the RDA, the recommended daily allowance. The government recommended amounts of vitamins is now the percentage daily value. So the daily value on the supplement facts on the label on any vitamin product is really useless information. What is that information for? Where does that come from? Well, the daily value of vitamin C is 90 milligrams. That's enough to prevent scurvy. The recommended daily value of niacin, vitamin B3, is 16 milligrams. That's enough to prevent pellagra, the severe deficiency disease that happens if you get no vitamin B3, no niacin in your body. It causes discolored skin, diarrhea, mental confusion, eventually multiple organ failure, and death within a few years. The U.S. recommended daily value of thiamine, vitamin B1, is 1.2 milligrams. which is enough to prevent beriberi disease that causes swelling in the legs, feet, ankles, shortness of breath, heart palpitations, and chest pain. The point is there are severe deficiency diseases of every vitamin and most nutrient minerals. That's where these daily values come from. In the early 20th century, people used to actually die from inadequate amounts of vitamin C and various B vitamins, vitamin D. If you have adequate, most people know if you don't get sufficient vitamin D, your bones will collapse, among other things. But the point is, hopefully no one is taking a multivitamin. I don't think anyone is going out and buying multivitamin gummies to prevent scurvy or beriberi or pellagra or any other severe nutrient deficiency disease. These things have been largely eliminated, and at least in the Western world. The point of taking a multivitamin is the same as the point of taking any other supplement. You're not getting enough nutrients from your diet to be healthy, to maximize your immune function, to maximize the intake of nutrients your body needs to heal and repair itself and maintain vital health all of the time. Most people don't get enough of some of the vitamins and many of the minerals from their diet, as well as omega-3 fatty acids and especially vitamin D from their food or the sun in the case of vitamin D, which is why I recommend that everyone take a good multivitamin, and fish oil for the omega-3 fatty acids that are difficult to get enough of from your diet, and 5,000 units of vitamin D for most adults, which no one gets from the sun except for very rare circumstances if you sunbathe a lot in the summer only. So back to the ingredients on nature-made multivitamin gummies. They have 36 milligrams of vitamin C, which is a ridiculously small amount. Vitamin C capsules on their own come in 500 milligram, 1,000 milligram doses. The gummies have vitamin E as D-alpha tocopherol. Look for that on the labels. That is the cheapest form of vitamin E. The cheapest form of vitamin E is D-alpha tocopherol. And many top shelf companies are doing away with this entirely. It is the cheapest form of vitamin E, but it actually slows the absorption of several other forms of vitamin E, which are much more important. The tocotrienols, for example. The gummies have niacin, 8 milligrams, a teeny tiny amount. It's 1.7 milligrams of B6. A good amount of folate, 400 micrograms of folate. That is a good dose. That is the RDA. The RDA for folic acid is adequate for most people. But here's another really bad one. Vitamin B12. The gummies have 2.4 micrograms. That is just that's not enough for anybody to maintain health. And it's in the cyanocobalamin form, which is the cheapest form. 99% of B12 supplements are cyanocobalamin. That is the cheap form. The active form is methylcobalamin. So if you want to know if your vitamins are good or not, look at the B12 on the label and see if it's methylcobalamin and see if the folate is methylfolate instead of the B12 being cyanocobalamin. And you definitely need more than 2.4 micrograms to stay healthy. In addition, these gummies, the nature-made multivitamin gummies, have a tiny little bit of iodine, a little bit of zinc, and a little bit of chromium. That's it. 3 minerals. So I'm going to compare this list to the multivitamin that I recommend. It's not the only good one. There are lots of good ones, but all good multivitamins are 3 or 4 capsules a day, never a gummy, and never a 1-a-day tablet or capsule of any type. Why is that? If they're no good, then how come there's so many? The shelves are full. Every store has, shelf feet of 1-a-day multivitamins. Well, the answer is very simple. Everyone wants a 1-a-day multivitamin. If they're going to take anything, just give me one pill with a little bit of everything I need. The market for one pill is insatiable, so those will always be there. But you now know they're useless. There's not enough room in one capsule or one tablet to fit bioavailable forms of any decent amount of the nutrients that you need. So if you want to know if your multivitamin is good, it should be at least 3 or 4 capsules a day. I'm going to tell you compare these Nature's Made gummies to my favorite multivitamin. It's not the only good one, but it is 4 capsules a day. It is alpha base. Alpha base, like alpha, the first letter in the Greek alphabet, and base, like the basic nutrients you need to be healthy, not to survive, not to prevent scurvy, but to be healthy, to support a healthy diet with vitamins and minerals that most people just don't get enough of from food. So it's alpha-base by orthomolecular products. In contrast with the 36 milligrams of vitamin C that are in the Nature's Made gummies, alpha-base has 500 milligrams of vitamin C. That's a good amount of vitamin C. Alpha-base has 500 micrograms of methylcobalamin, the form of vitamin B12 that you want. It has 25 milligrams of niacin, 3 times the amount in the gummies, 37 milligrams of vitamin B6, 20 times the amount in the gummies, and most importantly of all, a whole host of vitamins and minerals that aren't in any amount in the gummies. For example, the gummies have a little tiny bit of iodine, zinc, and chromium, but 0 calcium, 0 magnesium, 0 selenium. The gummies have no copper, no manganese, no molybdenum. They're missing multiple important B vitamins like vitamin B1, thiamine, vitamin B2, riboflavin. They have a little bit of niacin, no vitamin B5, pantothenic acid. In total, the list of vitamins and minerals on the Nature's Made multi-gummies is 11 vitamins and minerals. The list of vitamins and minerals and nutrients in alpha-base, the vitamin that I recommend 4 capsules a day, is 29 vitamin and minerals, and most of them in much larger amounts than the U.S. RDA and in far larger amounts than in any gummy, because they just don't fit. So it's just the most important thing is I want people to understand is if you're going to take a multivitamin, you should, because no one gets enough, especially of the minerals. You can get vitamins from food, but very few people get enough manganese and chromium and selenium and zinc and calcium and magnesium from their food. That's the reason to take a good supplement. So alpha-base has 29 vitamins and minerals in it, and it's always going to be 4 capsules a day because the bioavailable forms of the minerals in particular are bulky. They take up space. If you mine minerals from the surface of the earth, you can put them in one tablet in an amount that reaches the U.S. daily value, but not in forms that your body can absorb very well. We're not designed to eat dirt and absorb minerals from ground up rocks and seashells and other things mined directly from the surface of the earth. If you stick a plant in the surface of the earth, especially in good soil, then it will absorb those same minerals and bind them in the leaves and the vegetables and the parts of the plant that we eat in forms that are easy for our digestive systems to break apart and absorb. And these forms are bulky. They physically take up more space than the same stuff took up when it was in the dirt. And that's why there will never ever be a one-a-day multivitamin that has those same bioavailable forms of the minerals that everyone needs to be healthy. I'm Dr. Todd Binkley. You're listening to safe, effective, natural solutions to almost any health challenge, and I've spent the first 12 minutes of this show talking about why no one should take multivitamin gummies or any other gummy supplements, because they're mostly candy. They're mostly sugar and gelatin. And just to finish off the label, here's a common popular Nature's Made gummies multivitamin, a popular brand that lots of people buy. It says right here on the label, from the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand. In small print at the bottom, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements. Well, pharmacists are essential if you need information about the prescriptions that you're picking up that have been prescribed for you. But if this crappy candy multivitamin is recommended by any majority of surveyed pharmacists, then I recommend not asking your pharmacist what kind of vitamins you should take, because they're in the medical system. They're subject to the same misinformation that most medical doctors get, which is that vitamins are at best useless, might even be harmful. It's ridiculous. This is all marketing funded by the pharmaceutical industry. If you want to be healthy, you're probably not getting enough vitamins and especially minerals from your diet. That's why it's good to take a good multivitamin, which is always going to be 4 capsules a day, and never one a day, and definitely never a gummy. It's time for a microbiome update. I love presenting. There's always new information coming out about the importance of the gut microbiome, the balance of healthy bacteria and other beneficial organisms in your gut versus the non-beneficial or even sometimes pathogenic viruses, bacteria, worms, parasites, etc., that can show up in your gut. And I have a really great case to talk about. As a 70-year-old woman who had recently visited Thailand, and when she got back, she started having really bad diarrhea, gas, bloating, cramping, pain in her stomach and her intestines. And I don't know why she waited 3 months to come see me, because she was a previous patient who I hadn't seen in a while, because she was feeling good. Her back was feeling better, so I hadn't seen her in a while. And she said, well, I didn't want to go to any doctor because they're just going to give me antibiotics, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to kill off. She knew her microbiome was important. She knew that antibiotics can kill off all the beneficial bacteria in your gut. Well, if you have a really bad bacterial infection, it might be a good idea to take antibiotics for a little while. And then you can rebuild the beneficial microbiome in your gut by taking probiotics and prebiotics to feed the good bacteria in your gut. But it's never always about bacteria either. She could have had a virus. She could have had a parasite, worms, a fungus, a whole host of there's several other categories of bugs that can cause her symptoms. And obviously that's an important thing to consider if somebody's returning from a foreign country where you haven't lived, you haven't developed the natural defenses that the people who live there have developed against bugs that are prevalent in their environment. And so I told her, well, we need to do a stool test. The only way we're going to know for sure what kind of bad bug you have is to do a comprehensive stool test. And the one that I use from Doctor's Data, GI 360, is the report from it is generally 12 to 16 pages. There are a few other good companies that offer a comprehensive good stool test, like Genova Diagnostics, Vibrant Wellness. There are a couple of others. But anyway, I like the Doctor's Data's reporting because it shows it in a really nice form that's easy to explain the results and educate you about what needs to be done. So anyway, it includes a very long list of virtually every known bacteria, virus, worm, parasite that human beings ever encounter. And that is often a problem in a case like this. So what was really interesting about this 70-year-old woman who had just come back from Thailand is that she didn't have any bad bugs. She didn't have any pathogenic viruses, bacteria, parasites, or worms. She just had a severely depleted microbiome. She had severe deficiencies of the normal healthy bacteria in her gut. And that's why she had diarrhea for 3 months, because her normal bacteria weren't there in sufficient amounts to do the job of the microbiome, to facilitate the absorption of essential nutrients, to maintain the balance of the structure of the feces that are produced, to fight off bad bacteria and keep them in check, and to control inflammation. There's a long list. And they do this primarily. One of the main reasons the microbiome becomes deficient is because lack of fiber in the diet. So just the actions of fiber in the gut help increase the abundance of important species like Bifidobacterium, Akkermansia, some specific forms of beneficial bacteria in the gut. The fiber also helps maintain glucose balance by slowing the absorption of sugar from food and stimulating GLP-1 production, which is huge in the media. Ozempic, tirzepatide, all these medications for weight loss are GLP-1 agonists, and GLP-1 the production of that is stimulated by having adequate amounts of fiber in the gut. And then also prebiotic seeding. Fiber is one of the main categories of prebiotics, food for the good bacteria to help them produce short-chain fatty acids and other essential nutrients that keep your microbiome in balance and keep it doing its job. Only about 5% of the population consumes enough fiber per day, and it's really interesting because I'm a huge advocate of a low carbohydrate diet, of a ketogenic diet, of eating adequate amounts of protein and good fats, and minimizing your consumption of grains, starch, and sugar. But everything is in balance, should be in balance, and people that are on diets like that, who eat no vegetables, who eat no carbs at all. So I'm not I like to talk about grain, starch, and sugar instead of carbs, because hardly anyone needs bread or pasta or rice or potatoes or corn in their diet. But you do need vegetables, and there are carbohydrates in broccoli and cauliflower and spinach and in leafy greens and tomatoes. So you can get all the carbohydrates you need from food, but you do need to eat the vegetables. You need, and among other reasons, you do need some carbohydrates. And you need the fiber. Most importantly, you need the fiber. And excellent sources of fiber for bulk are vegetables, for the insoluble fiber that help form proper stools, control the balance between constipation and diarrhea. But you also need soluble fiber from things like chickpeas and beans, kidney beans, lima beans, lentils, chia seeds and onions, even bananas and oat bran and rice bran. One of my favorites, fresh garlic, has something called oligosaccharides, which are prebiotic fibers that feed the healthy bacteria in your gut. I'm Dr. Todd Binkley. If you've just tuned in, we're talking about a case of a 70-year-old woman who came back from vacation in Asia with a severe pain in the gut, diarrhea, pain, bloating, etc., and nothing was helping. And I did a stool test on her and found out that she did not have any horrible virus or bacteria or parasite from an exotic, faraway place. In fact, she just had a very weak, insufficient, normal microbiome in her gut. So she was getting sick from just being unable for her gut to control against inflammation and the bacteria that we consume in our food every day. She needed her normal microbiome to be bolstered. And so insoluble fiber is an important way to do that. Also, polyphenols from plants, things, antioxidants that you've heard of from things like blueberries and pomegranates, cranberries. So I needed to get a large dose of these things into her system. So I gave her a powder from Pure Encapsulations called Poly Prebiotic powder. It has high doses of oligosaccharides, these things that are in garlic and onions, but a lot of people can't eat large amounts of those. So in powder form, you can get these in combination with some large amounts of powdered cranberry extract, blueberry extract, and pomegranate to feed the healthy bacteria in her gut. I also gave her a really good probiotic to just get in some healthy bacteria to support the ones that live in the gut. It's important to understand that probiotics never take up residence in your gut. They don't replace the good bacteria that live in your gut. They just support them, give them a little bit of a break. But the most important thing when you have a severe gut issue is to feed and restore healthy amounts of the normal good bacteria and other beneficial organisms that live in your gut. So we did this for her. It took several weeks, but finally her gut got back completely to normal, diarrhea gone, cramps, all the bloating and gas and all of her horrible abdominal symptoms were completely eliminated. If you like what you hear about when I do case studies like this and the general information I talk about every Friday on this show, I'm happy to announce that I'm hosting a monthly series in my office the first Wednesday of every month, live at Binkley Healing Center in downtown Ventura. If you like hearing about published research on natural evidence-based treatments that you might not hear anywhere else, I've got a number of PowerPoint presentations that I've presented at local hospitals and Rotary groups and several other organizations around Ventura County for many, many years now. And I love speaking live in person. It gives me a chance to see you in person and answer your questions. You bring your friends and family. I'd love to see you in my office. Wednesday, October 1st, it's going to be a talk about breast cancer, how to reduce your risk, recurrence, and conventional treatment side effects. So I don't treat breast cancer, but I have lots of patients that I treat for other things who also have or have had breast cancer. And I love presenting cases like this to show how you can reduce your risk of getting breast cancer in the first place. You can reduce your likelihood of having a recurrence if you've recently recovered and gotten through treatment, but you want to make sure that it's not going to come back, and you want to identify earlier signs of your body fighting off cancer before it becomes visible on another scan or a mammogram or an X-ray or CT. There are ways to do that and measure your response to that with blood tests. There are also ways to deal with natural ways to deal with the side effects. Many women who have survived breast cancer and had an excellent outcome still have lingering side effects from the chemo and the radiation, numbness and tingling, neuropathies in their feet, hands and feet, legs. Fatigue is a huge one. Several other symptoms. A lot of these things can be identified and relieved with essential nutrients that are often missing, especially magnesium. A specific form of magnesium called magnesium threonate is really important for any kind of neuropathy. As an example, I'll be talking about several other things like this that are relevant to breast cancer survivors of any type of cancer who have undergone standard oncology, standard medical treatment, often have lingering side effects that they don't get sufficient help for. As always, remember, the condition of your body is always more important than any condition you've been diagnosed with. Thank you for listening. I look forward to speaking with you here next Friday at 2 p.m. Have a fantastic weekend.
You've been listening to Safe, Effective Natural Solutions with Dr. Todd Binkley. If you have a health question you want discussed on the show, email your health questions to Dr. Binkley at binkleyhealingcenter.com. Take advantage of this opportunity to ask questions for yourself and for your loved ones, because our health matters. Join him next Friday at 2 p.m. for safe, effective natural solutions here on 98.3 FM, The Word.